right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Gun Nation United. I am your host, Creeder, alongside my beautiful co-host, Devo. Today we have in store a treat for you, Sokka's sword from Avatar: The Last Airbender. So let's just jump into it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, since the formalities are out the way, let's get into it. Sokka's sword was a weapon crafted by a young Water Tribe warrior during his swordsmanship training with Piandao. It was forged using ore from a recent fallen meteor, and Sokka later referred to it as his space sword due to the origin of its material. The weapon was able to cut through various metals with little effort. It fell from the sky. He made it into his own sword, the Meteor, and learned swordsmanship from none other than Zoro himself. So, of course, he still had his legendary boomerang, but oh, wrong anime. Sorry, I love One Piece.
I know, I was so confused.
But no, on a serious note, yes, he learned it from what's that organization? The White Lotus. Yeah. So he ended up learning it from one of the White Lotus members, who ended up coming back and playing a big role in the final battle. And like I said, we try not to say spoilers here, so sorry if that's very vague. Those of you who have watched the show know what we're talking about. Those of you who haven't, I highly recommend you do. It's an incredible, very incredible series. But as far as the sword goes, and if it could be made in real life, well, it's a yes and no answer. What I mean by yes or no is it can, and it kind of has. There is a sword called the Sword of Heaven, and it's a katana forged by a 4 billion year old meteor. And the kind of is and kind of haven't is Sokka's sword was a Jina, which is a Chinese straight sword, and the other one in real life is a katana. And this katana sits on display in Tokyo Skytree and was made by a Japanese swordsman or swordsmith, Yoshindo Yotswara. Hope I pronounced it right. It will be on screen as always. And it's from a piece of, I probably did. Again, I apologize if it was on screen a second ago. But it was made from a piece of Gibeon, I think that's how you say it, Gibeon Meteor, which is a iron space rock formed near the town of Gimner in 1838. And he goes on to say, the swordsmith goes on to say, I have never compromised my craft. It is easy to make a compromise, but we hold our prides and devote our lives into creating swords. And you might notice from the pictures on screen now that the polished katana isn't the same color as a meteor. And the reason for this is it has to do with what happens to a meteor when it hits the Earth's atmosphere. So basically, while it's soaring through the sky, the original meteor would have appeared that same bright, reflective silver, but extreme heat causes elements in our outermost atmosphere to melt and fuse together, resulting in those quote-unquote thumbprints you can see from the photo. And this isn't the first time that a Avatar where the blade has been forged, another metalsmith, Tony Swanson, created a exact replica of the piece in 2013, and that was on, believe, Man of Arms is where he created the replica. Yeah, it was on Man at Arms. So yeah, he created an exact replica of it. But the real piece is in Tokyo, or was it Tokyo Skytree? So
That's awesome. I would just like to add, I like the fighting style that he has because he has the fighting style of the White Lotus, that he learned from, uh, was it the Fire Nation?
yeah, I'm gonna look up his name right now.
So yes, so yeah, he pretty much had like 3 or 4 different teachers. So he came from space, um, and then he learned how to fight, from his now to get a teacher, and then to find his purpose. So it's like, where do I fit in all this? He's the older brother. He's supposed to be the protector, and so he's fighting all of that. And then he had to overcome all of that. His dad was gone. His mother died. But that's what I really like about it. They didn't really dwell too much on the losses. They
Oh no, I was saying I really like characters that have to overcome their struggles, especially when they're side characters like Zoro. Like we were picking on him earlier, but Zoro, another example. Good leader, great swordsman. Um, not obviously not same background as somebody like Sokka, but just as far as personalities go, they favor each other and aspects of that.
And we got to remember too, like I always forget this, but most of these anime characters are kids. Like I'm currently watching Black Clover, and they call Yami old, but he's only 28. And so it's like, what? And they're like 16 and 15 past that at that age. I'm like, when I was 16, did I know how to use a sword? I'm like, nope. I mean, even if it was in my culture and even if it was my thing, it's like, would I be that good?
Well, I'm glad you brought up Black Clover, because when you were describing Sokka, right? Like no parents, no special abilities, swordsman, the first person that I thought of, and they're definitely not the same. I don't want you to think that, but just as far as based on what you said, the first person I thought of was Asta.
Hmm.
Again, they're not the same by any means, but they do
Yeah,
have similarities. So
yeah, I agree. I think he's still underplayed, but yeah, I hope he gets another sword. I mean, if there were hypothetically, there's been talk of Avatar 2 or Part 2 being created. I know there's some things I've been seeing online. If you look, they're not credible sources per se, but there's been rumors just floating around. If there were, I would love to see more character development of Sokka. Maybe he get a new sword. Maybe he is older. Maybe he becomes a master swordsman and part of the White Lotus and continues the legacy on. Those are some of the things I would like to see Sokka fulfill in his destiny and his dream.
if the graphic novels, which takes place after the animated series ever comes animated, that would be amazing. Cough cough. Since Avatar is on Netflix now, maybe the popularity maybe Nickelodeon will pick it back up to actually animate those graphic novels, because a lot of that stuff happens in the graphic novels, but
Yeah,
of course, uh, animated only people will never see that.
yeah.
So even now, I didn't watch too much of the Legend of Korra, but the little bit I did see with the flashbacks, again, he there was this one scene where I don't know if he was like the leader of the town, or exactly what it was, but I know he's prosecuting this murderer, and he had to stand up there, and he gave this whole like minute-long speech about justice and you're gonna get what's coming to you and stuff like that. So
Yeah, one of the things I would like to see from Sokka is maybe, uh, maybe this is a little bit of fan fiction, but maybe him growing up, going back to his water tribe, and teaching, the swordsman skills and how to make swords and how to fight with the swords to his tribe, to the younger kids, because he always had a heart for protecting, and that'd be like him fulfilling his legacy. Um, and it would also strengthen his tribe alongside his father. Well, no. Well, I'm so excited we got to talk about Sokka and his sword, and I think that I would love to explore a little bit to see if it eventually has some kind of magical capabilities or something, because it's from Earth. I mean, space.
yeah.
And it's so old. Like, what if there was some type of like ancient like awakening, as it comes into contact with other.
Well, absolutely. Like I said, the sword that was in real life, the meteor that came crashing down that they made the sword, from real life, it was 4 billion years old.
Yeah.
So, but hey, who knows? So, is that pretty much it, guys? I mean, Devo?
That's it. That's it for me.
Well, I just want to say, Devo, thanks for coming on. We're gonna do the Drunken Gun episode 3 this weekend and have it up by this weekend. So if you would like to come back, let me know. Everybody would love to have you. So, matter of fact, the first time you aired, it was on a video that had the most likes. So
Wow.
yeah.
I'm always glad to join you guys.
Mm-hmm. So definitely, we'll get you on the podcast for sure. So we'll work around your busy schedule. So, but other than that, if no one else has anything, I'm gonna go ahead and send the beautiful people home. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, weaves and whammon. This has been Gun Nation United. This has been Creator alongside my co-host Devo and Guns. And before we send you off, we have to mention the golden rule, okay? It's written in stone, okay? You can find it somewhere in the South. It's on a stone somewhere. But yeah. Anyway, like I said, golden rule. Keep your beer cold and your ammo hot. And we've been Gun Nation United. You guys stay safe out there during this time of crisis, and we will see you this weekend.